Hi, welcome back to On the Volley, or as we're also known, OTV. My name's Matt. I'm going to go through a bumper weekend of Premier League fixtures, actually. Some big results down at the bottom, also some quite big results up at the top, I guess, at the table. I'm going to start with the game on Friday night, actually, which was the Watford versus Norwich game. Brilliant result, obviously, for Norwich, coming out of that 3-0 winners. Sargent getting two goals in that game and an own goal from Watford as well, giving them the points. It was a bit of a funny game because there was a 15-minute delay due to the floodlights failure. It was 1-0 at the time, and the team that came back after that break seemed to be Norwich, because actually Watford had played really well in the first half. Not as much in the second half, maybe. Norwich were coming into the game a little bit more in the second half. Although they played awful in the first half, Norwich. So I don't know where they found that form from, but they certainly got it. They got the result, 3-0. Sargent with a scorpion kick, which I've not seen since, I think Giroud did it, and Mkhitaryan, I think, did it in the same, within a week of each other, actually, I think, a couple of years back, for Arsenal and Manchester United, respectively. It wasn't quite as well taken as their ones, and maybe did fling his foot at it, but fair play to him. The way it went into the net, it looked pretty spectacular. So absolutely brilliant for him to get his goals. That result really switched the places around, Norwich and Watford. Watford drop into the bottom three. Norwich move into fourth bottom. I've got a couple of little graphics for you to look at here, which are the remaining games for both teams. And looking at those, you see where Norwich's big problem is here, really. They have not really won against many teams or got any points against many teams, shall I say. Obviously not won that many games, being down on the bottom. In the top half of the table, and that is where the majority of their fixtures now lie. So they're really going to have to pull out the stops here to sort of like to try and keep this momentum that they've just built up. We took back-to-back wins to keep it going. It actually just spelled ha at on that graphic. That wasn't intentional. That is actually the home and away fixtures. It's not having a laugh at Norwich as maybe forlorn hope of getting something from those games. That's playing basically against the top 7 teams in the Premier League currently. Where they have gotten 0 points all season. They have got to go to all but one of those teams, which is Arsenal, who they've already played twice. On the other side of that, then you've got Watford's fixtures. Now, Watford's got a pretty good record here with every team they've beaten this season. The manager's been sacked, not directly afterwards, but has been sacked at some point. Out of the 5 managers that have been replaced this season, Watford have beaten 4 of them. The only one being the exception is Tottenham, who they actually lost twice to this season. You look at their fixtures, they've played the teams around them, but they have got 2 games against Burnley coming up. They have got 2 games against Crystal Palace as well. So in and around them, then they've got a few games, but again, they're looking at a lot of those games playing in the top half of the table, which is not really where they've been picking up very many points, apart from the good win against Manchester United, which pretty much led to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's demise. That's basically what I've got to say on that game. Let's move on to the next game. Moving on to the next fixture that I've got on my list here, not in any particular order, other than involvement in and around each of the teams. I'm trying to cover the teams that are involved with each other. So I'm moving on to Everton versus Villa here. And now Everton are involved in the relegation battle now, whether they like it or not. They've had a terrible run of form under Benitez, resulting in Benitez being sacked, and ended up now 4 points off the bottom 3. So that's ahead of Newcastle, actually, who are third bottom now after their result. I watched some of this game, and I thought it was a bit scrappy at first, a bit sort of like, hit and hope balls, a lot of that. There wasn't a lot of quality possession, really, and just a lot of battling in and around between the two penalty boxes, basically. Deeney came back, obviously, to haunt his old club, as all players or former players probably do. His exit wasn't that dignified actually from Everton. Benitez really didn't want him at the club, and it's funny that they sell him the week they actually sacked Benitez, to Villa. Obviously, Gerrard being at Villa is a big draw for players at the moment, and he's got another. I think he's got another bargain there. I think he's a decent player for Everton over the years, and obviously the celebrations sparked a bad reaction from the crowd. Objects thrown onto the pitch and stuff like that. We've seen that before. We actually saw that at Arsenal against City a couple of weeks ago as well. Emotions run high in football games, and it's still no excuse really to throw bottles of water at players. In the end of the day, what's going to happen is they're just going to stop people taking any drinks into the stadium, into the viewing area of the stadium anyway. And they're actually talking about maybe being allowed a beer in the terraces again, which obviously won't happen with behaviour like that. Spoiling it for everyone really, if you carry on with that sort of behaviour. But anyway, going back to the actual football, that was like kind of like almost like the last. I mean, it was in the injury time at the end of the first half. That was almost like the last sort of real action in the game in terms of quality. There's a few little chances created by Gray and Gordon. I seem to remember at one point had a little sort of like ball in, and Gordon skied it over the bar. But really, not a game full of quality. But a good result for Villa. They've kind of alleviated all of the tension around relegation already before this game, but that absolutely makes and maybe gives them the opportunity to climb up the table a little bit further towards the end of the season. So I've got the graphic up there just again, highlight Everton's problems here maybe in terms of relegation. They have got a lot of games down with the teams they're fighting against. Now that can be a good thing as well as a bad thing. I mean, a bad thing I would say is the fact they've got 2 games against Newcastle, who obviously now are starting to show their financial strength in the market, and I'll go on to that a little bit later. But Everton's actually spread of where they've got the points from this season is a little bit more disputed than the other teams down there, because they actually did get some results when they were going well at the start of the season. They have got the players to recover from this. It's whether or not they can get the manager to be able to do that. Whether that's Ferguson, I'm not sure. Duncan Ferguson's obviously spent quite a lot of time. He's assisted the last 2 managers. He's been at the club for a long time, obviously since his playing days there. Maybe he is the right guy. On this result, the quality of football with some of the players that Everton have got, it's just not, and it's going to be kind of like a little bit more sort of like hope and a prayer from Ferguson. So I don't know which manager. I mean, I know they were looking at Martinez coming back, but I don't think he is going to come back because obviously the World Cup this year. The other options, but they've just had 2 managers with superb quality in terms of their pedigree, and not done very much with the same squad of players. I mean, maybe they're going to look something different. Maybe they're going to look at a Graham Potter, for example. But why would you leave Brighton at the moment to go into a relegation battle? Brighton are going really well. But yeah, Everton, they're down there, they're struggling. They've been down there before though and got out of it. I'm pretty certain they will, especially with the playing squad they've got. If you can get that squad playing together, they'll steer clear pretty much, I think, of any real dogfight at the end of towards the end of the season. Moving on to the next game that I've kind of put down in this sort of like list of games we want to discuss down the bottom. Obvious one, big one of the weekend with our resident Geordie and OTV keeper is Leeds versus Newcastle. And what a win that is for Newcastle. Leeds have actually drawn themselves a bit away from all this trouble. They're not massively away from it, but they've done probably enough, to be honest, to get themselves in a position to finish away from all this dogfight towards the end of the season. I thought it was going to be a battle between the bottom 4. I'd extend that to Everton now. But this was looking like it was going to be a massive game about a month ago. Leeds on dropping like a stone, but then Leeds just getting those couple of wins have made this game more important for Newcastle, obviously. And they won it, Shelby with a goal in the 75th minute. I know keeper's going to talk a lot about the football, so the Newcastle game, so I'll try and be brief on this one. Again, the graphics up for Newcastle because they are definitely involved in this, being in the bottom three at the moment. Again, you look at this, and they have got the 2 games against Everton. I mean, if they can, get results in those games, they can really draw Everton into this. And the more teams that are down there with Newcastle, the better for them. Absolutely. It gives them a chance because, a team like Norwich have just got a little bit out of there, just got out of the bottom 3. Burnley have got a lot of games in hand. Watford dropping like a stone. I really don't fancy Watford at all to get out of this. I'm really surprised that Ranieri is still there actually I'm filming this on a Sunday. I'm surprised he lasted the last 2 days. He may be going tomorrow morning, so I don't know. But going back to Newcastle, this obviously a massive win for them. Second win of the season. It's been a long time coming really to get these 2 wins, and now they're starting to show a little bit of form. Trippier had a great game for Newcastle, and that's their only major signing so far. But they are being rumoured for a lot more transfers being linked with Diego Carlos from Sevilla. I think they've tabled a bid for 30 million at the moment, and Sevilla are asking for his buyout clause, which is 66 million. So there's a bit of difference to make up there in terms of the finance. I've heard they're being in talks with Dele Alli, with Leno from Arsenal, because obviously he's second keeper at Arsenal at the moment. He's fallen behind in the pecking order there. And Bissoma from Brighton, who actually is an excellent midfielder. Rated him last year as well in the games I saw him play. Really highly rated player. He'll be a great coup for them, to be honest, because actually that's something where I think Newcastle do miss a little bit of solidity in midfield, protect that defence a little bit. If they can sign him, but Brighton, what do you want to leave to Brighton to go into a relegation battle? Brighton are, knocking on the door of Europe. But there's money involved, so players can be swayed by that. It's not just about the position in the table. But Newcastle look like they're really trying to, they're going to spend to try and get themselves out of this, without a doubt. That was always going to be the case. Whereas you look at Burnley maybe, and they're like offloading players, which the reason why I say that is because they're also in for Tarkowski as well from Burnley after getting Wood as well. So if Burnley are to lose 2 really important players to one of their relegation rivals, Newcastle have done a bit of good business because they've weakened their opponent and they've strengthened their squad. Because actually those 2 players do strengthen Newcastle's overall squad quite significantly, actually, especially with Callum Wilson being out and Wood coming in as a recognised striker. But yeah, Leeds. I think I was just going to say a little bit about Leeds. I think they've if they can just keep getting the odd win, the odd point here and there, I think they'll be clear. They'll be clear of this relegation battle, which is why I've not done a graphic for Leeds, because I don't think they're involved yet. But maybe that's going to be a curse. Okay, moving on. So I've grouped 4 games here together. They all involve the bottom 5 teams, and the last one is the one from today, which was Arsenal versus Burnley. Burnley playing for the second game in sort of nearly 2 months, I think, something like ridiculous like that. They had so many postponements due to COVID, and also the postponed game against Tottenham due to the snow. The same day City played at the Etihad actually, and it was absolutely binning it down with snow. I'm surprised that didn't get called off at the Etihad as well. But they've not played a lot of football. They've played now 17 games. Whereas a lot of teams around them have played 20 plus games, they all have played 20 plus games around them. 21 and 22 in the case of Newcastle and Norwich. So this looks like a really good point for Burnley. I'm going to put the graphic up again so you can have a look at their games coming up. But with all those games in hand, and to get a point at Arsenal, which probably, before you look at this game, you're probably thinking Arsenal are going to win that game. Although Burnley did get a point at Chelsea and West Ham. So they have been hard to break down sometimes on the road, and not as much this season as last, which is why they're down where they are. But they've done all right there again today. I actually fancied Burnley to do something in this game because Arsenal were missing the midfield, and I told Shah that. And he was quite open. He was quite open to the suggestion that maybe Burnley could get something. I put it on my bets as well, actually, and they came in, so quite pleased with that. But yeah, it's a scrappy game. That's what Burnley will have wanted there. They just wanted a scrappy game, not much going on, and try and sneak a win at the end. Obviously losing Wood is massive for them in a way, because that's the sort of guy you need when you want to snatch all 3 points away at the Emirates. And it does look like Burnley are starting to offload the players in preparation for going down. If they can get the good money for Wood, Tarkowski as well, that deal hasn't gone through yet with Newcastle, but it does look like it's in the last stages of the discussion, and it's now just about price really, and then the players' wages, which is down to the player and Newcastle really. I don't know if that is the case, but they're certainly not dipping into the transfer market. I know they suffered one of the worst out of the COVID from last year, from the suspension of football, because they do really rely on people coming in through the doors to keep their funds going. So yeah, 3 games in hand on Newcastle and 4 on Norwich down there, and 2 on Watford as well. Okay, they're 4 points off safety, but that's 4 points with 4 games. Burnley can easily make that up if they do kick on. Arsenal probably disappointed with that result. They are looking less and less likely of getting in the top 4 with recent results. They've not had a very good January at all. Knocked out of the FA Cup. Obviously lost the EFL semi-final to Liverpool as well. A little bit of a bump in the road for them, or maybe it's sort of like they had a few suspensions. Obviously, Partey missed today, and Xhaka was missing today. That's the 2 key midfielders out through stupid suspensions. I mean, Xhaka's probably just a little bit hot-headedness, but he's famous for that. Partey was absolutely stupid. He's already come out and said it himself. Stupid, second yellow to miss this game today. And he's coming to a bit of form Partey as well, or work event as he's been nicknamed recently. It's a shame for Arsenal. They got themselves up into that position where they were challenging on for the top 4. Start to fade away a bit now. Teams around them have got a little bit of a few games in hand. They played 21, although West Ham have played 23 above them. Manchester United have played more games than them actually, but Tottenham have got a game in hand on them. They just, I don't know, maybe a bit premature in saying that they're dropping out of there, but the form doesn't suggest that they're going to be challenging there towards the end of the season.